Welcome to episode 9 of the PDS podcast. In today's episode, we'll be chatting with our guest about storm chasing, time-lapse photography, the stormies, and more. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Miracle Dent Repair. We'll hear a little bit more about them a little later in the show. Also, if you're watching us live right now, remember that this is the raw and uncut version of the podcast, which means you may see or hear some things that don't make it into the final episode. On a side note, I'm currently sick with COVID-19, so I apologize in advance if I sound a little bit congested and rough tonight. And also, during the break, you will have an opportunity to ask today's guests some questions of your own. So please send them to us in the comments and sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I think you should probably apologize to the few people that are watching us as well, because you look pretty rough.
Yeah. You've looked better, Jordan.
I have. I'll admit that.
Poor guy.
So our special guest for tonight is Mike Olbinski. Mike's an Emmy Award-winning structure hippie, storm chaser, a photographer,
hippie,
filmmaker, and he's based in Phoenix, Arizona. His work has been seen around the world in feature films such as Thor: The Dark World, multiple documentaries, TV shows, and more. Welcome to the show, Mike. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and I'm glad we're all quarantined so I don't catch COVID again.
It's a good thing it doesn't transmit through the internet.
That's right. But thanks for having me on. I really, really appreciate it, guys.
Well, we love having a structure hippie on.
It's all right to be a structure hippie. Structure is cool. Tornadoes are cool too. With structure,
all right.
Tornadoes with structure are very, very cool. Anyway.
So we'll start off before we get into all of the real meat of the show. You've got I don't know what you'd call it, a contest. It's called the Stormies. Last year was the first year.
Mm-hmm.
What are the Stormies?
It's stormphotocontest.com, and I don't know. The Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys. So I was like, well, we'll just call it the Stormies. It's not really called that anywhere on the site, just like offhandedly called the Stormies, because no one wants to say the Storm Photo Contest. But yeah, it's something that I had wanted to start for a really, really long time. Probably the last like 3-4 years. Ever since, I was in a few contests and, saw maybe like the results of the contest were not really storms as much as, like a snowy bridge in New York or something, or a bison covered in snow. All of those kind of things are really beautiful pictures. Like some of those pictures are beautiful, but I wanted like a contest solely for people who actually chase storms, specifically for tornado, structure, lightning, mammatus, rainbows, those kind of things that we all like, and not just here's New York City with snow falling. I want it to be like, hey, I want an epic storm photo contest, run by people who chase storms and kind of know storms. And the first year was, tough. It turned out great. The photo of the year, especially, like, I don't know, some of those photos, even me, like, that chases all the time, and I feel like I get good stuff. I'm like, would I even come close to placing in the top 10 of these? Because the photos that we got all around the world were just incredible stuff. I mean, water spouts with lightning and all this stuff. And we had a photographer of the year, which is, portfolio award. So you had to have like 10 images, which was tough because of COVID. So we started that award. 2020 happened. Not a lot of people were out. The storms kind of sucked anyway. So we didn't have a ton of entries, but we still had some great entries. And Tim Baca won that, and it was awesome. Scott Peak won the tornado photo of the year, or the photo of the year. But so this year, I think that, from last year, especially, more people were out chasing, including in Canada and across, the US and stuff. And so I think, from what I've read too, people were excited about upping their game and trying to get better photos this year. And so I think that the contest has been really fun. So I'm hopeful that, we'll get we've already gotten some epic images in that, I can't wait to talk about. So.
Right on.
Awesome.
So who can enter and how do they enter?
They go to stormphotocontest.com and then click the enter button, and basically anyone can enter. it's a fee like $10 for one photo, $25 for the portfolio, which is Photographer of the Year award. That's 10 pictures taken on at least 7 different days. It's supposed to basically not be someone who got really lucky with one great photo and they win the whole thing, but more that a lot of us that are out chasing a lot during the spring and the summer, that it shows that you worked hard all year and you came up with 10 photos that are better than everybody else's. And there's a lot, I mean, you guys know there's so many chasers out there that put in so many miles and sleepless nights and gas and car expenses and hard drives to store your photos on and time lapses and stuff. And so there's so much work that goes into it. And that's, part of why I thought there should be a contest dedicated to that, And so Absolutely. I'm excited to see what, the Photographer of the Year yields, because, Tim Baca won last year, and I know he had even better year this year, but I saw a lot of other chasers out there getting good stuff. And so, I can't wait to see that. But yeah, pretty much anyone can enter. I'm sure if you're like 6 years old, you might have to get a parent or something. But.
So you mentioned that Tim Baca won last year and you saw some better stuff from him already this year.
Yeah.
How do you approach judging something as diverse as storm photos? Like what do you look for in an image? How do you even do that?
Well, man, I'll tell you, I was remembering when I started going through some of the entries that have already come in, I was like, oh, I remember how sucky this was last year at this time when I started seeing these photos going, how do you pick a winner? Because, honestly, like part of the reason I made sure to start it last year was I had seen Scott Peak's tornado photos from, up in Minnesota with the rainbow. And they were some of the best tornado photos that I've ever seen. And I had the privilege of seeing like one on a computer raw, and it was completely sharp. And I'm like, not only is this an epic photo, it's actually in focus. Yeah. And
it's technically
and I'm
sound.
like this. And so in my head, I'm like, he's going to, he and other people with photos like that are going to post them, and they're going to go through, our feeds and our Instagram and Facebook. And then they're going to disappear, and he's going to hopefully sell some prints or something. But no one is ever going to, there's no real award for that unless you enter it in, the Weather Channel one. And then they just take your images and want to license them. And, who knows what they're going to do with it, And so
they then own it.
Yeah, they then own it. So in our contest, we don't do that. It's literally, we only use images to promote the contest. And then afterwards, they might get posted on news sites around the world to kind of promote the contest. Everyone's name gets on there, like it's promoting the photographer and the images and all that. But that's basically it. So that was like part of the reason. And so it's super hard. I mean, there are photos that come in that you see like maybe quickly and they're great. And then you look a little closer and you're like, oh, it's out of focus. And like part of the contest is not just to, kind of just willy-nilly award whatever photo, but it's to try to anybody who's great at chasing, great at positioning, great at technical abilities, great at editing and all that kind of stuff. And that takes practice. And hopefully, we did some YouTube videos last year doing critiques, talking about the images.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. And Mike and Nick were awesome to have. They're too busy this year, which kind of stinks, but we have some other, like Dennis Oswald from Germany is going to help. And he's fantastic storm chaser. His editing and quality is really, really good. And the other ones. So when people watch those, hopefully they're going, okay, I see that. And now I know what maybe I could do better next year. And a lot of that critique, I know me, I probably have like a fragile, like ego. If someone started critiquing all my stuff, I'd be like, wait a second, don't talk to me about that.
I was super happy to not see my pictures on any of those critiques. I'm just going to say I was very relieved.
Oh, but sometimes it's good because then you can learn. And so I think there was maybe one or two like negative things, and they weren't even by people in the contest, but the people that were in the contest, they sent me messages saying, man, I'm so happy you talked about my photo and what I can work on. And I appreciate that because I want to get better. And so I'm hoping that, this contest actually elevates everybody's game to go out there and try to be better, work on that stuff. I mean, we all know when you're sitting there and you got a tornado in front of you, your mind is like exploding. Your adrenaline is just erupting and you're trying to take a picture and you're trying to maybe find a foreground and you want to make sure it's in focus and you don't want to blow out the highlight. Like, so there's so much that goes into it, and it's hard. Even guys like me that take, 100,000s of photos a year, I get photos and I'm like, dang it, it's out of focus. Like at a really nice,
it looked great.
It looked great. I had a nice that Malta supercell that we were actually behind, and we were not in epic position like Max Olson and a couple other guys, Stephen Jones, I think. We caught up to it and we had a view of it, and I had my 50 millimeter time lapse on it, and I was going to edit one of those pictures because the structure was great. I posted the time lapse in my time lapse film, but the actual single photos were slightly too soft. And I'm like, I don't want them to be printed, so I'm just not even going to edit them. And I'm just like so mad at myself because that was the closest photo I kind of had to the structure because it was a little bit of a distance away. So
Yeah.
Everybody out there makes mistakes. And so hopefully this helps kind of elevate that. So, picking the winners and all that stuff, it's kind of excruciating, try to narrow down the good ones. We're looking for the, technical abilities and sharpness and editing and color and all that kind of stuff.
So what would you say the main rules for entering the contest are?
Well, the main rules are the photo has to be taken the year before. So 2021. So every photo is from last year. And so, kind of the purpose was to every year create an archive of, and almost like a library remembrance kind of thing. These were the best photos from last year, so that we can kind of have them all in one place from around the world. And the more that people know about it and get involved, we'll have the best pictures. And so people can always come and go, look at these pictures from 2021. These were astounding. And so they have to be taken last year. For the most part, you need to have, shoot in RAW. So we have a RAW file backup to prove that you didn't completely fabricate the whole image. Some people reach out and say, hey, I don't have the RAW, but I have something else. Yeah. I have
me.
Yeah. Good. I remember there was more than you though. There was others. And I'm like, hey, if you've got video evidence backup of the scene where we can see what the scene looked like and it matches your photo, then I know that you didn't completely fabricate the whole thing. So some of that helps. Yeah. If someone have a RAW photo and they were on Sudan this year, I was there too. I know what it looked like. So if you don't have a RAW, but you were there, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I know that one. So, and we also don't, and we try to stick away, keep away from composites and stacks and stuff like right now where people stack like 27 lightning photos on top of each other. And they automatically look awesome, even if they're not even great pictures because of all the lightning. I've done them because I'm like, one bolt doesn't look that cool, but 14 of them together sure looks great, doesn't it? And so, so we're kind of sticking away from that, but mostly, photos taken last year, and then a photographer of the year award, you need like 10 images on at least 7 different days. So
what kind of response did you get from the chasing community on this contest last year?
Man, it was very, very positive. I don't think I had a single person. And the only people that were ever negative about it were the people that commented on the critique videos and said, you guys are so harsh. And so, and I was like, well, we're trying not to be. We're trying to be like, hey, we're talking about this. Like we had a video called the Almost 5 or the Almost, and we talked about 5 images that almost made the top 30 out of like 300 images submitted. So these almost made it.
Jerks.
So
we're just telling you the truth.
Yeah. We're just telling you why that these were great images, but these were some of the reasons why they didn't make it. And so, but the thing is I understand, because if I had my images there and someone kind of said some negative stuff about them, I would probably be a little bummed and hurt, and I get it. But, if you want to get better, that's the way it is. And even Mike Mez one of the judges last year on the videos, he has a real story where he turned in sports photography portfolio to like a sports editor somewhere, and the guy tore him to shreds and said, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. He's like, okay. And he's like, get better. And it motivated him to go get better. And a lot of times, in our culture, no one wants to hear anything negative. It's just like that American Idol syndrome is everyone tells you you're great, your photos are awesome, and no one says anything negative about anything. And then you don't get better. And I experiencing it with my own kids, trying to, tell them practice doing this at basketball, and because this will help you get better, or try not to do this. And they fight it a little bit because they don't want to hear that they're not doing something. right.
I should
And
just
so
be perfect at it.
I should be perfect. So it's tough, but hopefully, but from what I could tell, everyone was real excited about it. People want a place to do that. And I think the fact that the judges were like people that they knew and were well known for what they do meant a lot too, that those people were going to be critiquing their images and voting. It's not, the one thing I also think people appreciate is not a popularity contest. It's not about whoever can get the most likes on their photo and they win. It's truly just about us judging the best photos. And that's what I feel like is missing a lot out there in a lot of those contests. They're all, you know, a lot of those contests are honestly just to get traffic to the Weather Channel site or whatever site. And I love the Weather Channel, but I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, that kind of contest, a lot of it is to get them traffic. And I would love traffic because I'd love people to enter it and we can do bigger prizes and more categories and all that. But it's not about, you know, trying to make money and likes and clicks and ad revenue. It's about judging these photos and I really want the best pictures. Like, I'm just like, and it hurts me because I take a lot of pride and I'm very competitive with what I do. And when I see some of the images entered, I'm like, damn, it actually hurts me that I didn't shoot that and I wasn't there. Like, it sucks. And so, but I want that. I really want those images because I want this contest to blow people's mind, because the photos from around the world, I mean, I saw a photo that's already been entered. I don't even know if I'll share it till we do like a top 30, but it's like of a town with a lightning bolt and a water spout out in the ocean. And I'm like, I hadn't even seen that. That's freaking great.
Wow.
And it's like perfectly sharp and all this stuff. And I'm like, a lot of people haven't seen this stuff. And so when we put, you know, a top 30 together, people are just going to look at these photos and go, oh my gosh, like, these are great. So
those are the pictures that make me want to throw all my camera
I know.
in the garbage.
I know.
Nope.
Hey, and honestly, like, I've seen a lot of entries come in. One of them is by a photographer who took my monsoon workshop, lives in Tucson, and her name's Paula. And when she posted the photos on Twitter back this summer, I was like utterly like gutted. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because it's like up high of Tucson and these lightning strikes are just,
I saw that one.
Clear air bolts with so many filaments. And so anyway, you know, she submitted and I'm like, it hurts me because I don't think I have any lightning photo like as good as she has this year. And it's actually painful. Yeah, I don't think I taught her, but I did teach her a little bit about chasing, but she's a good photographer. So, but anyway, that's the thing of it. It's a little bit of a struggle and it's going to be a little painful to even do it. But I want her to give me those images because I can't wait to talk about them, share them, and see who the winner's going to be.
So what kind of prizes are up for grabs for the winners?
So like, I think the top prize photo of the year is like $800, and then it's $750 for the other ones. I should say that we have a local company here in Phoenix that I work with called ImageCraft. Everybody who wins also gets a 20 by 30 metal print of their winning photo.
Oh, nice.
If you are the photographer of the year and you submit 10 images, then you just get to pick which one you want printed. And Davis Instruments supply like a weather station. Lightning Trigger 4 guy, lightningtrigger.com. He contributed a lightning trigger for one of the prizes. And then Nick Dreischman, who runs Extreme Tornado Tours, he is sponsoring the Tornado Photo of the Year award. So he's like actually putting up the prize, and he'll be a guest judge, which I can't wait to like critique some tornado photos with Nick. That'll be really fun. He's excited about it. Yeah. So, and then the trophies, I have one back up here, but they're on our Instagram, on whatever it is, Storm Photo Contest on Instagram or whatever. But the trophies are just sick. Like this like artist, metal worker designed them, and they're just twisty like tornado with a lightning bolt in the middle, and they're fabulous. So winning those, like I actually had them made for the contest, and they were so awesome that I made them make me one with just the name of the contest on it so I could have it on my shelf. And now I'm never going to be able to win it, but I'm like, I want one. They're so rad. So so I think it's, and I was able to like take them out chasing last year and give them to Scott and to Tim and do some selfies with them, which was, you know, it was cool that they ended up winning and I was able to run into them out there and give them their trophies. But someone wins it overseas, it's going to be some serious shipping fees because those things weigh a decent amount. So, but they're awesome. I think it's worth winning. Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned a couple of the sponsors. Is there any other sponsors for this year?
I think that was all of them, but that's a really good thing to make me go double check. I do not want to leave anyone out, and I don't think I did. I mentioned everybody. It's awesome that Davis Instruments, sponsors it, because I've had a weather station of theirs in my backyard for probably 6 or 7 years now. I mean, in the Arizona sun, when it gets up to like almost 120 a lot, and it is still back there doing a great job, and it's unbelievable. So
I've got one on my Hummer that survives our Canadian -40 and snow and wind.
Crazy.
So I know how you feel.
Well, I mean, the fact that that's good enough that no matter how hot it is outside, it still gives me an accurate temperature.
Yeah.
Curtis, you all right?
Yep, I'm good. I saved the iPad.
Save it. That's good.
I saved the script. Barely, but I did.
Yeah, no, but those are all the sponsors, and I should mention Camille Seaman is being one of the judges. Linda Van Rosmalen and Nick and David DiCello and Dennis Oswald are all the judges this year. It's really tough, honestly, because people are all over the place doing all kinds of things. Camille is always down in Antarctica shooting glaciers, so there's a good chance that some of these people won't be able to do any videos or whatever, but we're going to do our best to have at least a couple of us on doing critiques and stuff. So,
right on. Well, that answered Curtis's last question with the
Yep,
judges.
it sure did. That's what I was asking the judges were, but we know now.
Yeah, they're all awesome. I mean, I've never met Camille, but I mean, you can look up her TED Talks and she's she does TED Talks and goes shoot great photos of Antarctica. And then Linda is a chaser from here, and man, her time-lapse stuff is quality. Her editing is so great. And I think she's one of those chasers that people don't necessarily know that well. But when I was thinking, who is one of the best, female photographers that I know, I'm like, Linda, she is her editing and her style and her compositions are amazing. So, but she's been freaking all over the place too. South America, she was just shooting that La Palma volcano, time lapse in it. I mean, she's been all over. So once again, she might be someone that's just too, busy to get on video with me, but we'll see. So she's fantastic friend. We have a great time, but now she's never around. So big time.
Well, that takes us to our first break then. So anybody that's watching live, if you have any questions or comments for Mike, now's your time to let us know in the comments.
And I'm going to take this chance to go pick all that crap up that I knocked over.
In your hotel room. I love your little PDS podcast sticker.
I don't know if Kyle Hetherington's watching right now. I know I saw his tweet. Wife's about to have a baby, but
really?
He did send me a question for you in case he wasn't watching, which was, Mike, how do you manage to look so handsome now that you're in your 60s, and what is your secret?
Oh. Oh man, I wish I could just go share Kyle's picture where he was wearing pink boxers or something from one of our tours. I just want to say we had a few years ago Kyle, Rob Embry, Bruno Goncalves, Tracy Boyd, and Anna from Australia. We all did a tour together in our van. Me and Brett led it, and I mean, I can't even tell you how great of a 10-day tour it was with those people. I never laughed so hard. I mean, it was just nonstop hilarity the whole time. And
that's awesome.
Kyle and Rob just nonstop, berating each other, berating Tracy and Anna. And it was just a lot of fun. So I love Kyle, and I know he loves me too. Rob, Rob was on here, he'd ask if my driving skills improved, because I almost ran over him because he wasn't all the way in the van when we were trying to get out of someplace. I think it might have been it was the Imperial Day, which was epic structure, and I was losing my mind, and I think he wasn't all the way in the van that day. I can't remember if it was there or not, but they're great.
Get in the van.
Oh, also during the break, yeah. Oh,
hi, Shannon. Ooh, I can't do that again. Oh. I will do the poutine again, because that was so good. The Crown and Coke, though, I think that I was hanging with a bunch of you crazy Canadians until like midnight, and then Shannon and Tracy, I were hanging out talking about life and stuff till like, I want to say 4 a.m.
That sounds about
drinking
right.
Crown and Coke, and then I had to speak at like 8. And needless to say, I was laying on the floor after I talked a lot, just kind of watching all the other ones because I was in a hurting way. But I need to come back out. It was fun.
I think it's Tracy I see that shares a picture from that night every once in a while.
Yeah, she does. I look like this or something, like, I don't know, like really close. Like, oh, it's just so embarrassing. I love Tracy. She's so funny. She is hilarious. If she was here, she would have sent that picture. So Shannon's great. Love her Forerunner buddies.
That's right. You were on a Forerunner too, don't you?
Yeah. It's good. You should, if you're out there, look at my Instagram stories. I don't know if that's still up there, but it might be from today. But there's a guy who takes the little Hot Wheels cars and small cars, and he customizes them all to look rusty, like they look awesome. And so my neighbor got one done by him, and I didn't know about him. And so then I'm like, dude, here's my Forerunner. Here's a picture of it. I want something that looks muddy, like it's been off-roading, trying to like catch a tornado. And he already sent like a sneak peek of it. I'm like, oh my God, like it looks so awesome. And he even put the little Thule cargo thing on the roof, that we had in our for tours this year. And I'm like, how'd you do that? Anyway, it's awesome. Yeah, good time, Shannon.
Oh, didn't mean to click that button.
That's the wrong button, buddy.
Yeah.
What's about to happen? It's game show time.
It is, but not yet. A couple more, another segment before that we get to there.
I was trying to type, and I always forget that G is my my gong keybind.
That's awesome. Shannon's great. She made me. She took me, and everybody there. Her part of her though, or mainly her, took me to the poutine place that we had after like we met on. Or I don't remember when it was, but it was so good. Hey Thomas, Blue Truck Boy.
Oh, Kyle's here now.
My man. I wish I could find that picture of him all in the pink. I don't even know when our tour. I forget when Imperial was, and if I could, I would find it and hold it up to embarrass him. But it'd be too hard.
It could always be sent to us after, and we could add it to the.
Oh, that's true.
The clip.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, Kyle. Might happen. I love Thomas. He's got that big blue beast.
The blue moose.
I hope
Blue
moose. Oh my gosh. And I didn't know. I don't think we had met it at first when I first started seeing the blue truck, but we were passing each other on the freeway going on a chase, and we of course going to the same target area. And I think he sent me a DM on Twitter, and I'm like, "What, is that you?" And then back and forth for a while, and now we see each other all the time when there's not COVID. So
yeah.
Would you use your damn signal lights when you cut me off?
Yeah, exactly.
I remember there was that wicked structure day down in New Mexico where we were all at that gas station. Tom, you, myself. I think you had some film crew with you or something too.
Oh!
May 4th, 2019, I believe.
Oh, was that Denver City?
Yeah.
May 4th. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I
day
don't
before
think
Tahoka.
Oh, I did have the film crew. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the luck of like, and I think some of that made it in there, to the PBS show. It was like a brief minute, but like that was the day they picked to go follow me around, and they show up, and that's the storm we got. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you? I mean, it was crazy, and Brett and I had this other film crew with us this year, which will, I think, from what I have heard, which is nothing. I don't know if it's ever going to amount to anything, but they were with us for like 3 days, and we got on the Campo Kim tornado, and then we got them on the tornado down by Fort Stockton, and we're like, nice. What are the luck that we have this year? This is crazy.
No kidding.
But that Denver City is still top. Oh man,
yeah.
I love that storm. Oh my gosh.
That was insane. And the fact that we just saw it right from a puffy little cloud into that.
We're all hanging out at the gas station, just waiting. Boom, it goes up, and then it's a slow moving, and then it goes just nuts. So structure for that. Oh, and and that was a day when there weren't a lot of chasers on it in comparison to other days.
Yeah, there's basically only us that were at the gas station.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple others.
There were some diehards, but
Yeah.
but it wasn't a big day. It was like a marginal kind of day. So it was
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
That was a nice 70. Yeah, Thomas, he remembers the interstate.
I just remember pulling into that town and there was like construction zone for like an hour before you got to
Oh,
that
my
town and not a
gosh.
single piece of construction equipment.
I know, right?
It was like
Those
a
are the
30
things you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
Those can. Luckily, the storm went southeast and didn't go that way.
Yeah. It was like a 30 zone for who knows how long.
Kyle's gonna send me the picture. He doesn't even care. Kyle has no humility. He's the greatest.
That's perfect. That's
what was so good about them too on the tours. Kyle would just rip on himself the whole time, which was even funnier. So no, that was fun. Kyle, that was a great tour. Like we started a Facebook, messenger group for that tour before it started, and we still have it going, and we still chat in it every like month or two. And I don't really
That's
have
awesome.
that for any other like tours I do. So they were just all great. So hopefully we'll be able to get together again someday.
That'd be awesome, yeah. Really
Where are
quick,
we
I'm
at
gonna
here?
be end of the break.
So
I'm gonna be cringy for yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no,
Curtis.
go ahead. You can be cringy.
I was gonna
I'll
say
let
I'm
you
gonna
be
be
cringy.
I'm gonna be cringy for a second before we finish our break and see if I can get a soundbite from you for the episode.
Okay.
Just the typical. This is Storm Chaser Mike Olbinski. You're listening to PDS podcast.
This is Storm Structure Hippie Wedding Photographer Michael Binsky.
There he is. I thought it was pink or something. I don't know why, but it was just some goofy shorts. Kyle's great, man. I think that's where we saw Pecos at that hotel, and Anna, and that was the other thing we gave crap about. Anna's favorite storm chaser was Pecos, and I'm like, you're on a tour with me, and your favorite storm chaser is Pecos, and we just made fun of her the whole time. I think she got to meet him. It was so funny.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
I love Pecos. All right, so what do I got to say? This is Michael
Whatever.
Binsky, Storm Chaser Michael Binsky, and you're listening to the PDS podcast.
Yeah, perfect.
Is that it? Did I do it?
Yeah.
Did I do
Yeah,
it?
you did it.
Okay.
Excellent.
Wow. I thought I was just practicing. All right, good. Perfect.
I mean, if you
We're
want to do
very
it
easy
better,
please.
you're more than welcome. But
No, it sounded good. It sounded
yeah,
good.
that'll work. All right. I will play our sponsored ad, and then we'll get back to the show.
This is my favorite part. I get to listen to Hale. You better pour a drink before we start.
My whiskey's gone.
Did you
This is
want
the
a
time to
second to
fix
pour
it.
a new drink?
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Hail damage. It can happen at any time, and when it does, bring it to the hail repair specialists at Miracle Dent, because dents are what we do. Our paintless dent repair process maintains your original factory finish with no repainting or parts to order. You'll have your vehicle with its original factory paint back in no time like it never happened. If Mother Nature has put a dent in your summer, come to Miracle Dent Repair. Dents are what we do.
All right.
That was great. I might need their services.
Well, when you come up for your Crown and Coke and your poutine, you can get your vehicle fixed.
Yeah, I'll drive my 4Runner to
There we
Canada
go.
and see if they can fix it for me.
All right, we're back. Now it's time for a 21 question segment where we get to learn all about Mike's life as a storm chaser. So, since I'm such a noob to this whole thing and we have a podcast, I really love to ask every one of our guests, what's your secret weapon when it comes to reading the models to forecast weather? What's that one parameter, that one thing that you need to have?
What if I just
Before
say
you
the
go.
her and the freaking simulated reflectivity?
All right, well, that works.
No, I mean, like, honestly, I have learned a lot over the last like 5-6 years. And I think I'm getting better at, looking at a bunch of things like the shear and the moisture and all that kind of stuff. But for a guy like me, who's not a meteorologist, sometimes I will look at the cams just to go, okay, I see where there's storms firing. Now I'm going to dive into what the models actually are telling me. Like, oh, there's storms firing in northeast New Mexico. That's great. And then I go look, and the dew points are like 31. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm really going to drive out from Phoenix for that, because it's just probably not going to be great. Although I've seen some pretty decent Northeast New Mexico storms in like 35-degree dews from pictures. So, but yeah, I guess I don't have a secret weapon. It's more like trying to look at a bunch of random things. And that's what I've learned. I think I used to actually go, look at that, there's going to be storms firing there on the Her and a couple of things. But now, been way more maybe selective, like, yeah, there's storms, but what's really going on with them? What are the 500s look like? What do the dew points look like? Is the shear actually any good? Is it going to be good structure, or is it going to be crap? So a lot of it goes into, especially when you chase pretty much everything, if you can. Sometimes there's days when I want to go fly home and see my family, and I'm like, today's going to suck. And so I'm going to drive to Denver, fly home for a couple of days and come back. And, that really is only once completely screwed me, which was the good day. And I blame Brett for that, but he's not listening, so I can do that.
I did that in 2019 and missed McCook.
Oh, dude, you know what? And we had the van that year for McCook, and we saw McCook, but we were a little behind it. And then because of the van, we couldn't go down this dirt road to keep up with this storm, because we didn't know. I mean, a hail core went right over this dirt road. And so we're like, we can't go down this thing. And we missed the next tornado that happened that day that other people got that was also picturesque. And so that's why I stopped doing vans. But man, that sucks, dude. That was, that sucks.
Yeah. Made up for it the rest of the season, though.
That's good. Yeah. You know what? We all have that,
Yeah.
We all miss things. And I went home and turned off that Goodland day, and I don't even remember what day it was. I think I flew home. My son or someone had a soccer game in the morning, and I wanted to be there. I shut down all social media, and then I think I drove home, because then I drove back Sunday morning all the way back to Denver, and that's when I decided to turn my phone on and look at Twitter. And for the next 3 hours driving, I was the most miserable, angry person you've ever seen in your life. I was sending voice memos to Brett and people are you effing mother freaking kidding me?
I hate you.
The Goodland day was it had everything. It had epic structure, had big old lightning strikes, had Greg Johnson got freaking lightning and a tornado all in one place. And then Willoughby got epic structure and absolutely incredible lightning at night. And I'm like, that's what I go after all year, and I missed it. That was the best day of the year, and I missed it. So all been there.
So what is something interesting that most people don't know about you?
Well, people usually know I like Legos, but what's interesting about me? I'm boring.
Oh yeah, sure.
No, I mean,
100%.
other than chasing,
You're like king of the nerds.
Oh, I used to be a little bit of a sports writer. I used to work for Rivals.com, and before the .com crash in the 2000s, I wrote for Rivals.com. They started a pro sports section, and so I covered the Suns, I covered the Cardinals, and covered the D-backs, and I actually had press credentials and would go to the Cardinals games, the Suns game, go to the locker room, interviewed players every now and then. I was a little nervous about that. I don't like bothering people, so interviewing players was really hard for me. But I actually had my own little spot in the press room at Suns games, and I would go, sit and watch games and write about them later and interact on the forum. And, every now and then the girl that worked at the Suns let me sit courtside on the, the press row, and I got to sit next to Jerry Sloan once, who was the Utah coach at the time. And my God, I'd never heard anyone swear so much. And I'm like, I didn't know that they did that. And he cussed the whole game. I couldn't believe it. So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like doing that.
Awesome. What do you enjoy most about the weather?
You know what? That's a tough question. It's weird is because when I got into this, I always thought, I love the weather. I would sit at my house and but I think one of the things that I realized is I liked sharing it with people, which is probably what inspired doing time-lapse films and wanting to share photos and all that stuff, is that, and I love movies and I love classical music, or big soundtrack kind of music, Star Wars, Interstellar, stuff like that. And so if you know I love that, and then you've seen any of my time-lapse films with that crazy like classical music or, you know, custom music to it, that's kind of where that came from. And I had neighbors like nerdy that would make fun of me because once there was a dust storm coming before I was ever into this, and I called them up and I was like, incoming, like storms incoming. And so like for years after, they would be like, incoming, Mike. Like they would just make fun of me for that one word. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm such a nerd. Like, you know,
Fine, next time a tornado is coming, I'll just let it eat you.
Yeah, that's right. Luckily in Phoenix, it's just your pool gets real messy. But yeah, so I think I really liked sharing it with people. And, you know, but there's something now where sometimes if I can make myself not chase, you know, in the summer and sit on like the patio and have like a old fashioned and have like a monster downpour and lightning, it's really like calming. And I think it's funny because there's a lot of people that will tell you how scary storms are and it frightens them and all this stuff. And I'm like, if I can sit out and enjoy a storm, it almost like centers me. Yeah, it's therapeutic. It relaxes me. It calms me. Especially if I don't feel like I need to take pictures or anything, you know, like work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
actually sit and enjoy it.
Yeah, because that's what I grew up doing, you know, with my dad. He loved storms. We'd sit on the patio. That's one of my first memories is a lightning bolt. So I think I really, really love that part. But I love to share it with people. So
I think I kind of know the answer to this from what you just said, but how did you get interested in the weather?
You know, I think I've always loved it. Like I said, you know, growing up, and my brother and I, we'd watch storms out the window. You know, we're supposed to be sleeping, and you live in Phoenix. It's a desert, so we don't get a ton of rain. And so when you do get like a big thunderstorm out of nowhere, it's exciting. You know, and the lightning's great because high bases and the downpours, you know, are, you know, fantastic. And so you kind of learn when you live here that that's like life-giving. You know, in the desert, you need the rain, you need the water, and you need that stuff. And so everyone here appreciates it for the most part, unless you're from somewhere else. Like when you're from Seattle and come here and then it's gloomy and rains, they hate it. But everyone who's from here loves it. Like it's never like this. So that's where, but I mean, you know, it was really like, I'll toss out like Shane Kirk's name back in the day, 15 years ago. I was on Wonderground looking at just photos, and I would just go nuts over the lightning photos. And Shane Kirk at the time on there was, you know, there weren't great lightning photos, but Shane Kirk's were the best on there. And I was just looking at him, I'm like, oh my God, like I want to know how to do that. And I remember once I finally got a really good lightning photo and I put it on Wonderground and I literally called it For Shane Kirk and said, dude, you inspired me. And I finally got something good and I wanted you to know or something. And so that's really kind of got me into photography. It's wanting to learn how to shoot lightning. And that's what I love since I was a kid too. So it just all kind of made sense.
So who's been your most important professional mentor?
I'm going to say Brett Wright, which sucks because he's like 31 and I'm about to turn 47. So having like a young, you know, punk be your mentor is really stupid. But I'm just kidding. He's probably not going to listen to this, so it doesn't matter. But Brett's one of my best friends, and he's been helping me lead tours the last like 3-4 years, and at the same time he'll tell you that, you know, all the photography and time-lapse stuff that he's learned from me is like he's really happy that he gets to go because I help him. He's getting the time lapse. He's been posting lots of reels on Instagram with time lapse clips that he's finally editing. But I know it's been a mutual kind of thing. But Brett's knowledge of forecasting is unbelievable. He's just amazing. And I've learned so much from him because I'll see a setup and I'll be like, this looks pretty good. Like we got all this, and he'll be like, yeah, but look at the dews. They're only 48, 47. And I'll be like, he's like, it's marginal. And so it's those things where you learn to not just look at a couple things. Oh, the Hershow storms and the shear is like 45. So I'm going to go chase. But then you look and realize the temp is 93 and the dews are like 46. And you're like, that's probably not going to be that great.
Go sit on a patio.
Yeah. Go sit on a patio and have a drink. And so that's even Kyle just said Brett's an absolute gem. Like and so I've learned a ton of stuff about, you know, forecasting and also I used to lead those tours by myself. I mean, I started doing them in Arizona, like workshops on my own. And I've always chased on my own. I've always done that on my own. And then, one year I realized when I was chasing, tornadoes, supercells, how hard it is to not have somebody looking at models the next day while you're trying to find a hotel in Roswell at like midnight. And almost missing, an epic Nebraska chase because I just couldn't do too many things at once, And so having him along for that is having a partner in it has been, fabulous. So I've learned a ton of stuff from him, and I know we've learned stuff from each other, and he would probably say the exact same thing to me in a way, because I'm helping him with learning wedding photography and all this kind of stuff too. So, but he's been a real great friend and mentor, and helping me learn a lot of more forecasting. So
neat. What's changed the most since you started chasing?
Well, I will say a little bit. That what's changed, I think, in the last since 2016, 2017, whenever Carpenter happened, is I would, even now, sometimes it's still hard to get over, but I have a video on my YouTube channel called The Pain of Storm Chasing, and how, the Carpenter day, I think I was June 12th, 2017 or something. I, had been chasing for 12 days. Drove home all the way from Montana. And as I was getting close to home, someone said, Mike, you flying out tomorrow for the chase on Sunday? And I'm like, what? Like, I'm going home. I've been gone 12. And then I see it, and it's like this great setup. I hadn't gotten any good structure that year. And I was desperate, and I had to go home. And I said something to my wife, like, I need to tell you something. And she's like, don't tell me until tomorrow. Let's have a nice night. And so I didn't. We had a great night. And then the next morning, I'm like, I have to leave tonight and fly back to Denver. And she was, bummed. I'm like, I have to get this. So I go all the way out there, rent a car, fly all my gear out there. And then I listen to some other voice in my, head saying, go to Chugwater. And then it ends up being like a total bust up there. Meanwhile, epic structure down by Carpenter, white cone tornado, everything that I wanted. And I'm like, I pull over at the side of the highway, and I'm in tears, like just punching the side of my rental car, like crying, like I just blew it. I blew it for my family. I blew it for myself. I blew, this is just sucks. And, then I look up, and this is nothing against Roger Hill. I love Roger Hill, but I saw him just down the road with all his vans. And I'm like, man, if Roger Hill, did the same, thing I did today, and I knew other people were up there too. I'm like, okay, if a legend like Roger Hill is here too, I didn't make a total mistake today. I just got unlucky. And then I kept chasing that day and got some really good stuff all the way to midnight in the Sandhills. And, credit, Roger for being such an inspiring legend with all this, that I can see him and go, yeah, we all make those mistakes, no matter how good you think you are. And, but that's been really hard. One of the hardest things about chasing is missing out. You miss out on something, and it's devastating. Just like Jordan said about, going home, and then McCook happens, and it actually, as a chaser and as someone who's passionate about it, it hurts. Like, it physically depresses you and hurts.
It does.
And so anyway, I think in the last few years, I've been slowly kind of letting some of that go. Like, it hasn't, like I said, my friend Paula in Tucson getting these epic lightning strikes. Like, I was actually really happy for her. And I think 3 years before, I would have been it would have crushed my soul, and I would have been uber depressed that I wasn't there and didn't figure it out, and wasn't there myself. And so I think what's changed is just probably, that kind of thing, like being able to be okay with stepping away. Sometimes, I was, I chased gone for 14, 15 days this year in a row. And I think I went home for a day in the middle. Maybe I was gone for 20 days, went home for 1 day. But I missed a tornado that day, a brief tornado. But I was like, you know what? I need to see my family. And it wasn't amazing. It wasn't the end of the world. And I'm back. And all of us know, once you start chasing again and get something good, you kind of forget about it anyway. So I'm trying to put that in my head, that once you know that a year from now or a week from now, you're probably just going to forget about it. It's not going to matter to anybody, because we all miss everything. Yeah, and it happens to all of us. So,
no, there's a slogan for a T-shirt.
Yeah,
we all miss everything.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's a long-winded answer, but I feel like that's what's changed recently, is not letting that stuff affect me as much.
What got you interested in time-lapse photography?
I don't know. That's I've always tried to remember why. but I think it was just, I was always fascinated by it. And I wanted to try my hand at it for dust storms. Like that was one of my only, oh, there's Tracy. Olbinski. Hi, Tracy. That's one of the only things I can ever really like. I mean, like we're all inspired by people, you know, Shane Kirk got me to Shooting Lightning and all this stuff, but I don't remember that I saw anything other than time lapse, other than like a show on Discovery of clouds building fast. And I was like, you know what? I bet if I could do a time lapse of a dust storm, people could really see what they look like sped up, because all that there's been out there is just video from news crews and stuff like that. So I felt like that was like my one original idea. And luckily, before the most historic dust storm that ever hit Arizona happened, I started time lapsing like a day before. And then my third ever time lapse was the big haboob that hit Phoenix, and it was pretty crappy in the grand scheme of things, but it didn't matter. And so I don't know. I think it just was, I wanted to try it, see what dust storms look like. And I was right. They looked awesome. I mean, because they roll along and clouds are moving along. And we all know that a dust storm is really just a strong outflow boundary and usually a shelf cloud over it. But the dust is like the food coloring in the air, and you can see what the air is actually doing. It's amazing. And once I did that, I'm like freaking hooked on it. It's great.
What challenges have you experienced as a storm chaser?
Well, I guess the challenges, maybe that I just talked about, like the confidence and, and being okay with missing stuff, because honestly, like I think one of the biggest challenges is second guessing yourself, having multiple targets and being like confident at least, or just having security. Like, hey, if I pick this target and it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And it's so hard to do that. And I feel like that's one of the challenges is actually fighting against yourself in a way, like what, I want to go here, but there's also this, and I don't know where to go today. And I don't know how to decide that, what's going to be better. And so that's
ending internal argument.
No, it is. And sometimes you're like, I want there to just be one target and that's it. I don't have to worry about anything else. And if it busts, it busts, but it busts for everybody. But honestly, if that was the case, there'd be like 10,000 storm chasers on every single storm, and it would be miserable. So multiple targets is good. It spreads people out, and hopefully you get lucky.
Mangum every day.
Yeah. Oh, that is definitely the number one worst chase day of my life.
Yep, me too.
Mangum sucked.
Tell me about the 3 most influential people in your life and how they impacted you.
Oh my gosh. Maybe you should have sent me these questions ahead of time. 3 most influential. Okay. I'll say when I was first getting into this, I watched Storm Chasers. That's where, honestly, Storm Chasers was like my wake-up call that people actually chase storms. I was fascinated. I loved them. I saw people's pictures, but it wasn't until that show that I really saw that, wow, there's like actually a community or people out there that do it. So Reed, on that show was, just the way they chased, and even the education that they, passed along on the show whenever they could get around the drama of stuff. The education is what actually helped me learn before I even chase. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. I see they're talking about the supercell and the stuff that's going on. And so I learned from that. So that was influential. Oh my gosh. I would like to say Daniel Shaw has been influential, trying to get me to be better about like copyright protection and reporting stuff. I mean, like sometimes some of that stuff is just hard work. All I've been doing today is going through this website called Pixie, if you've ever heard of it, Pixsy, and you can upload all your photos and they search for matches all over the internet. And someone finally, like, I've been on there for years and I hardly do anything on it. And someone said something the other day and I asked, like, well, have you made a bunch of money? And he's like, well, I made like $7,000 over the last like 3 years on, case it. I'm like, what? Really? I'm like, I got to do this, Now
I got to look at it.
So that's what I've been doing all day, but it is like the most boring, tedious thing in the world to like click on a link. What is it on this? Is it a forum? Is it like the Daily Mail? Like, where is it being used illegally? And okay, this isn't going to work. This is going to, and it's just like, it's mind numbing. So a lot of that stuff is, and so Daniel Shaw is like, kind of influenced me to be a little bit more, to take care of that a little bit more. And even to, protect other people's rights out there. When people are posting videos and you see, you know, the Weather Channel and AccuWeather and whoever come along, can we use this for free or whatever? And like trying to like protect those people, you know, like, so that's been really influential to me. I'm going to be the husband that says his wife, Gina,
Good man.
is very influential to me. Maybe not in terms of like storms, because she could care less about chasing and all that. But her, you know, as a guy who's been married, I've been married almost over 23 years, and starting out in this, having a wife that supports you, being gone with 3 kids and all this stuff. And, you know, like a day like Wynnywood, I was on my way home and I called her on the phone, and because I'd missed Mother's Day for a freaking bust in Oklahoma. And so I called, you know, talked to her, and she's like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. If it's good today for a tornado, then you got to do it. You know, don't worry about, you know, coming home or whatever. And I turned around and went back, and freaking Wynnywood happened. And so she's just always, you know, giving me that confidence and support, and you know, it's amazing. So I probably don't deserve her, but she's great. Thanks, Justin. Sorry.
No, that's all good. So one of your time lapses was licensed and featured in the movie Thor: The Dark World.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that experience and what it was like because we know you're a superhero nerd.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's got to be pretty friggin' cool.
There's Iron Man figurine right there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Booker Supercell, July 3rd, 2013. It was, or June 3rd. That was the first real Supercell that I'd ever seen. And it was Booker, which is like, you know, one of the best that happened that year. And I was in tears. You know, I hugged my friend Andy was there, and I hugged him, and I was like crying. I'm like, I can't believe this is what I've been trying to get. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. And then it just got better from there. And so, yeah, like, honestly, I thank Reed for this too, because back in the day, tornadovideos.net, his YouTube channel, they would, you know, you could send your videos to them, and they would post them and share ad revenue. Like, so if they could just get content, they split the ad revenue back then. And so they had my Supercell video on their channel. I had it also on Vimeo, and it went viral. I mean, it was the #1 video on Vimeo in 2013, which is like hard to believe, but it was.
Wow.
But I'm pretty sure that Marvel Studios saw it on their YouTube channel, because the girl who ran it back at the time emailed me and said, hey, Marvel's emailing, here's their information. They want to talk to you about this time lapse. And I'm like, okay, what? And first off, it was awesome that they just sent it to me. Like, no, it's all yours. You know, we got your stuff up here. It's great. But I wish it wasn't so long ago that I don't know what I know now about stuff. I would have said, can you tell me like a little more how you're going to use it and where it's going to be? Because in the movie, it's like a freaking critical, important scene, and it takes up half the screen.
Yeah.
And, you know, when they asked me for a price, I think they just offered like $1,000. And in my head before that, I was like, I'm going to pay off my student loans. I'm going to make like 40 grand. And they offered me 1,000. I'm like, dudes, can you at least do like 5,000 or something? And they're like, well, you know, we can get this off something like this off Getty for like 3,000. And that's the problem with those sites, is they probably could go get some kind of storm off there and use it in a movie for that price.
Yeah.
I think I could have got, you know, more, but anyway, it didn't matter. Like, part of me was like, this is the moment where it doesn't matter as long as it's in the movie, because it's freaking Thor.
I am in
and it's
a
Marvel.
Marvel movie.
Yeah. And but I did make the thing. I go, is my name going to be in the credits? And she's like, well, we don't usually do that, but I'll ask or whatever. And that's all I really knew. And I didn't know how it was going to be used or anything. And then I had friends in Europe say, Mike, why is your name in the credits of Thor 2? And I'm like, oh my God, they used it. And so I got like a bunch of friends, like 8 of us went to watch opening night. And I started getting like an inkling that it was maybe going to happen, just the vibe of the movie and the dusty planet. And all of a sudden I saw it, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, I go, it's the freaking like top half of the whole screen.
Yeah.
And like Loki just died. And it's like so climactic and all this stuff. And so it was incredible. And then my name was in the credits, and we were all cheering when we saw my name. And what's funny about it is, because you sit at the end of Marvel movies, you got to sit to the end. And so we start cheering, right? And then everybody that's around us is like, they have no idea what's going on.
All the moms are trying to shield their children from the weirdos.
Yes, it was fantastic. And a lot of that stuff that photographers say, like exposure sucks, don't do anything for exposure. Like that was the one thing that exposure was like really good for no matter what they paid. Because I mean, that's what I've been known for a little bit too, besides like the dust storm. The local news stations were interviewing me like, this guy, local photographer, has got his footage in Thor 2 and all this stuff. And I think Brandon Sullivan, the first time I met Brandon, it was like at Denver at a restaurant. He just sees me, goes, Thor. And I was like, well, this is great. I love that nickname. This is awesome. So that was like still probably the coolest thing. So,
well, it's pretty hard to beat that.
I just wish I could have gotten one in Ragnarok for the supercell for the devil's anus. I would have been so happy if that would have been my clip. I would have cried real tears if that had happened.
Oh, what is your favorite state to chase in?
Oh no, I really think I'm gonna say Colorado.
Why?
I don't know. I love the flat. I love the road networks. I love like Eastern Colorado. It's really easy to get around. I think the dirt roads are harder in Colorado. You don't have to worry about sinking like in Oklahoma. I will say though that I think the best structure, which I'm a structure hippie, some of the best structure that I've gotten has actually been in Nebraska. And Nebraska is a great place to chase, but it's a pain in the butt with the sandhills. So it's kind of like if there were no sandhills and it was like Colorado, I'd probably would say Nebraska. But man, those sandhills can just be murder. Trying to figure out how to get from Valentine to a southeast moving storm and it's just like it can be so frustrating. But Nebraska is great. But I think Colorado, I would probably say Eastern Colorado to Western Kansas. That area is like some of my favorite places to chase.
Very cool.
So I think I already know the answer to this, but haboobs, tornadoes, or structure, which is your favorite to chase and why?
God. Man, I'll tell you this story. Reed was on the dust storm that we chased in 2018 in Arizona, and it was the second best dust storm I ever chased besides the big one in 2011. And later that night, he was texting me, and he's like, "That was better than any tornado I've ever seen." It was so cool. And so I don't know. I mean, if I could say it's a big epic dust storm that I want to see, then I'd probably pick a dust storm, which is weird because I don't think I've ever thought about it. But most of them aren't like epic. And so then you're kind of like, well, I really would rather chase Denver City and Imperial than this. So, but they can be amazing. And it's also like, it's Arizona. It's kind of where I live and it's close to home. And it's, it's what at least part of, I do this full time. So part of like my business is, knowing stuff like dust storms and having the BBC and whoever, if they want to film them, they know, they can look me up and I can be a guide and consultant and forecaster for them. And, so that really is a, big deal for me. So I probably would say that. But honestly, you didn't throw lightning in there. And I feel like I've said a lot in my brain that if there was one thing I could shoot, it probably would be lightning the rest of my life.
So haboobs, tornadoes, structure, or lightning?
It's probably lightning. It's probably lightning because you know what? I mean, if you're on a storm by yourself and there's lightning, like nobody can ever get that again. Like lightning is so unique and different all the time. And it makes like a great supercell, like with structure. Lightning bolt comes out the top and front. It makes it even that much better. And so lightning is freaking great.
I could agree with that. Yep.
What's your biggest failure? And what did you learn from that experience?
Oh man.
See, that's how you know they're good questions, is when the guest is very uncomfortable.
Well, I think unfortunately, I talked about Carpenter already, and so but I will say maybe the Goodland day that I also mentioned was a failure because that was sort of even Brett, because we both missed it. We both went home because we'd been out, for like 10 days, and it was in between tours, and went home and just didn't look to see what the setup was. And if we had, we would have seen great shear, the models had great storms going up. The dew points were good. Like everything was like, when I started looking at it actually on that Friday before it happened, I was like, Brett, I should get in my car and start driving right now. Like it was like 5:00 on like Friday night. I'm like, I need to start driving. maybe it was later because maybe the 0Z or whatever came out and I was like, oh my God, I need to drive it now. But I'm like, no, I'm going to stay home and go to this soccer game. And so I don't know, man. That's because I got to see my kid play soccer. So I wouldn't say it's a failure, but that footage that I would have gotten that day in that spot would have been magnificent. So it would have made like the whole year. So, but I think that day maybe, and missing that day in Carpenter. Oh, Brett will also say this too. And if Kyle's still listening and Tracy, they'll know the day we missed the Tipton tornado in northern Kansas. That was a big F up on me and Brett's part. And it was like a storm over the interstate over 70. And it was still kind of hanging out there, and we're in the stupid white van, and we heard there's a land spout, and we're like, okay, let's just fly towards it. And then as it flies towards it, starts moving more northeast, and we like turn up towards it, and then it just like the back end died, and it reformed further northeast, and then we realized it's over the road, and we really had no way to catch up with it because it was dirt road. We couldn't take the van through like this creek or whatever. So we had to go back south to the 70, go east to, I think, Russell. And right before we get to Russell, suddenly freaking my friend Marko Korosek from Slovenia, who's not even out, is like, are you on the wedge? And like, and everybody in the van, Tracy and Kyle, like, there's a tornado on the ground up there. And, I think sometimes someone said something else, and I grabbed my phone and I freaking threw it to the floor of the van. I'm like, no more pictures. No one say anything. And I will fully admit I was taking a van about 95, 100 down the interstate and then north to try to catch up with it. And we actually did at some point finally get a glimpse of a tornado right before it kind of roped out. But it was like our whole plan was to go to Russell or wherever it was and go north and wait for it.
Yeah.
And we got impatient. We got too anxious and too excited, and if we had just done that, we would have had like freaking great day. And so
that thing dropped like 7 or 8 tornadoes.
I mean, and we were just the road network sucked, and once you were behind it, it was almost impossible to catch up. But I will say one of the reasons why that tour was so great is we worked our butts off for 2 hours trying to catch up with it, and we finally had to stop and get gas. And I got out, and like Rob and Kyle and Tracy came up to me, and they all like hugged me and said like, thanks for trying so hard. And like, I just started crying. And it was definitely one of the worst days, but the fact that these people were with us and were so understanding, because we've all been there, they all chase and they all know what it's like. So that was that's probably worse than anything, because we had people with us. If you fail yourself, it's like not too bad, but if you have people that are there, then that really hurts. So definitely. Sorry, Kyle and Tracy.
So out of all of the amazing weather events you've chased, which one stands out the most or is the most important to you?
Well, I always have to say the July 5th dust storm and the Booker supercell are like kind of tied for first, because for me the dust storm kind of put my name out there a little bit at the time. It went viral, it was all over, and that was my first hint that people even licensed stuff, really. Like, I just was such a noob back then, right? I just didn't know. And so, Al Gore licensed it for like climate change stuff, and like Nat Geo licensed it for something. And then like a local Phoenix air conditioning company licensed it, kind of like the ad you just did about the hail damage. It literally was like a commercial, like, dust storm ruining your air conditioner, call us and we'll clean it. Like, and I'm like, I didn't know that stuff. And so that was like my kickoff for time lapse. Like, okay, I really like this. And that was cool. And then people would pay me for it. And so that got me doing it. And then in 2013, getting on Booker again, or not again, but getting on Booker, somehow that went viral again, which I did not really ever expect would happen. And then that, of course, got licensed by a bunch of different things, and it's still licensed, to this day. And that just confirmed it for me. Like, I'm like, this is what I meant to do. I should be doing this. And so I just kept doing it. And so those were kind of life changing. But I would also say Wynnewood a little bit too, just because I was trying so hard to get for a couple of years to get a tornado on time lapse. And Wynnewood was the first one I got. And again, back to my wife, I finally texted her, because that was the day, that I was going to go home and didn't, and busted the day before Mother's Day. And then I texted her after I got to go, I did it. I got the tornado. And she like texted back that I'm like so proud of you. And of course, like apparently, which is the theme of this podcast, I got all teary-eyed and cried again because it was just so amazing. Because she said, "I'm so proud of you," and I was just such an emotional wreck. So anyway,
It is emotional though. The whole storm chasing thing is very emotional.
Absolutely, it's tough.
All right, we'll shift gears. We'll get away from the emotional crap.
I'm sure I have another crying story to share. We'll get there.
If you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you spend it on?
Oh, geez, that's a lot of money. $10 million. I think I would probably not. I'd probably maybe buy like a bigger house, but I like my house, so maybe I wouldn't. I would maybe buy a sick ass transport van, some kind of 4-wheel drive badass van that has windows for tour guests, big tires that can go anywhere like my 4Runner can, so I could keep doing tours in them. But honestly, though, if I had $10 million, I don't know that I would do tours anymore. I'd probably just buy like a mansion in Denver and move the family there and retire and chase storms the rest of my life. Like maybe that's what I would do.
That's a good answer.
$10 million is a lot of money. You could buy a mansion and put probably like $6 million in the bank and be good the rest of your life.
Yeah, live off the interest.
Yes. All right, so you guys are going to surprise me. You have $10 million.
Ding, ding, ding. What songs would we find on your Storm Chase playlist?
I suck at music, but I listen to I have like a whole, and it's kind of got wiped out when I switched phones, but I love soundtracks. So I have a whole playlist with just like, Interstellar and Inception and just all these random like sweet, like The Arrival, like great, like cinematic kind of like haunting, spooky soundtracks. And I always like those because I think, watching those movies and watching that stuff, that music always gets me like emotional. It's always like you watch Interstellar without the music and it's like, but you watch it with the music and he's leaving his daughter behind and it's like gut wrenching, like sadness. But the music is
you just changed the playlist question into a gut-wrenching sadness.
Yeah, because I love it. But that's the thing, is chasing storms to me is like an emotional, passionate thing, and so I love like actually having a soundtrack behind it. And so I don't know. I've just never been. I did not listen to Britney Spears, Kyle. But I just love soundtracks, so that's what I listen to. Kyle.
What is your favorite piece of equipment in your photography arsenal?
Well, I like the time lapse, so I guess an intervalometer, but I think I really would say the lightning trigger is like my favorite, like coolest thing that someone invented. I mean, the lightning trigger 4 is like, I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but that's to me the best one, most expensive one. And man, just the fact that you can put it on your camera and it catches a lightning bolt during the day or like at dusk when you normally couldn't get it. I mean, it just makes for so many pictures that I have that I wouldn't have had. And it's just amazing. I mean, the fact that the fact that we see lightning, it's so fast, you can barely react. And this thing can see it and tell your camera to take a picture almost in the nick of time is incredible.
Yeah. Lightning triggers are pretty crazy.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would you want it to be for?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. That's like an ego question.
All right.
No, I don't know. See, the thing is like I would love to say something like, I would love people to like say Mike was a real nice guy and helped me out all the time and all this stuff, but I'm not always that nice, and sometimes I'm really like competitive and I don't want to help everybody. So, I want to I don't know. I think one of the things I get a lot is from my time-lapse films that people will like, I get so many comments on YouTube and sometimes they just go by and I don't think about them, but they're really like, when I slow down, I'm like, the fact that anyone comments on that stuff is incredibly humbling and just amazing that people will get moved by these things. I make these films and they take me forever. I watch them probably like 150 times before I release them. So by the time I put them out there, I'm like hearing the music everywhere I go. I hate it. It's all like, it's not good enough. And then I put it out there and then people, love it. And they say, this is your best one and all this stuff. And I'm like, really? Like, cause I can't even tell anymore. Cause I don't. And so But one thing people do say is it moves them. A lot of people say it doesn't. Their fear of storms is like gone away when they actually see someone capture the beauty of it, because before they were just terrified of it, and then they realized, hey, they can actually be beautiful and calming and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I think I just would love to be remembered for like maybe making weather beautiful and less scary.
Well, you will be. I promise you
Yep.
that.
Hopefully. And for my I Love Big Haboobs t-shirt coming soon.
Oh, that is perfect.
Whenever that guy gets done, just get ready. It's going to be awesome.
What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out as a storm chaser?
I guess it would depend on what they want to do. But I feel like I've given this advice. Like if you want to do it full time and you want to be good at it, you probably should start from some place with an income and have some money, because it's very draining on finances. And when I did get into it, I had a full-time job, and I was lucky that I worked from home most of the time. So I was able to start my photography business, build my website, edit stuff on the weekends and at nights, and sometimes during the day when I'm supposed to be working, and take trips and stuff. But like I was able to do it while I had a job. And I know it's hard for people, because you got to chase everything, in the spring. And it's really hard to, have a job that pays you and still chase. But like a guy like Max Olson, he works for like a hail dent insurance company. And sometimes he gets to go chase because the place that just got damaged by hail is going to have storms again the next day or whatever. And he's got to go. And he wanted to have a job. I talked to him once about it. Got to have a job, make money, be like stable, so then you can take some like a week off and go chase and be and not be like broke when you come back kind of thing. So I would say to be patient, even like doing photography just full-time in general. A guy who did weddings out here told me it took him 5 years of doing weddings before he could go full-time, and he had kids. So when he told me that, I kept that in my head, and it took me like I think 4 or 5 years before I was able to go, okay, the wedding business is good enough, and some of the like storms and workshop stuff's good enough that I can kind of transition by quitting that and doing this. And having that job allowed me to buy gear that I wouldn't have been able to, because all I was doing was chasing. And then how can you afford anything,
Yeah.
So it's just really, really hard, I think, for people, especially if you're young. I mean, I'm old, I feel like. And if you're 20 and 21 and you want to start chasing, you're not, you're just young and crazy. I understand that. So it's hard to want to do that. But getting a job and taking your time and being patient at it. Someone told me, a wise man said, the storms will always be there. And there will be storms next year, and there'll be storms the year after. And maybe, the way the earth is going, they might get better and better, or maybe they'll just go away or something. I don't know. But so maybe they won't be there. I don't know. But I mean, you just got to take your time and do it in a way that doesn't like ruin your life and ruin like your family and, stuff like that. So
for sure. So with COVID restrictions being lessened, are you planning on starting your workshops and tours up again?
You mean like I did last year? So yeah. Honestly,
you need to update your website, maybe.
Well, I don't. The problem with my workshops and tours is everyone comes back, and I give them priority, and I only take 2 at a time. So for the most part, they're always booked up, and I don't ever really advertise them, and so I don't think about it too much. But actually, honestly, in 2020 when it was bad, it was 2020. Like things were, down, at least here, they had dipped back down again. And, me and Brett were quarantining. We didn't see anybody. And we had 2 individual tours with people that just drove out from their homes, like Seattle and LA. They were quarantining before they drove out, and we took like 1 person on a tour for like a week. And it was flex. We're like, hey, this looks good. Do you want to do it now? Sure. And we were very safe. And man, every hotel we went into, so paranoid, wiping every single thing down. Every gas station we went to, I'm like, wear your mask when you get to the car. Here's a big bottle of sanitizer. Like everybody was like nutso. I mean, I don't know how many times I panicked during that, chasing and, during that time. But it was people that wanted to do it, that we all agreed, like, this is what, we're risking, and, we're avoiding people, or, all that kind of stuff. We were very, very safe. And
Well,
So-
storm chasing is pretty safe on its own. 'Cause you're sitting out in the middle of a field by yourself.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the way I saw it. I'm like, we weren't gonna, we're not gonna go to restaurants. We're not going to Applebee's and hanging out with chasers afterwards. We're literally gonna get food to go, and most of the hotels were, fairly empty. And honestly, like I'll say, I don't know how many hotels I went to where they were so thankful. I wouldn't like people were worried, like you're putting these, small town people at risk of COVID. At the same time, those small town hotel people were like, thank God you're here, because we haven't made any money in like a week or something, And so it was like a tough balance there. Like what's actually, the right thing, but they were open. They wanted guests. And, so we stay at the motels that you didn't really have to go inside, where you just, maybe open the door and just go, in from the outside. So you're not really seeing people. And so we were pretty safe, and that wasn't even a great year anyway. It was like end of May into June was like, I think I was home for like a week at the end of May, which is insane. Like there was just nothing going on. Didn't miss anything. So it was like a slow year anyway, but we'll definitely be back. We're doing that again this year. So
Sweet.
Awesome. So this is your last question of the 21 questions.
Okay.
What is one question that you wish we would have asked you?
What my favorite TV show is.
So what's your favorite TV show?
I don't know. That's a sucky question. Why'd you ask that? No, I don't know. You know what? I just finished The Expanse. It's not my favorite show, but it was really fun. I love good sci-fi shows, but I will say right now that I think Ozark is my favorite show and the best show that's out there right now. So we just finished the last part of the first part of this last season, and man, it's up there with Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad's probably the best show ever made, and like this one is probably not up there best show ever made, but it's definitely one of the best. So, and stay tuned for Sunday during the Super Bowl, the Lord of the Rings series coming to Amazon. They have their first teaser trailer on Sunday, and I am a monster crazy Lord of the Rings book fan, movie fan, and a TV series like Game of Thrones level sounds like freaking heaven. So I'm hoping it's good. Really hoping it's good.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, I am super excited for the halftime show.
Yeah? Who's
right?
See, I don't even care. That's when I go to the bathroom.
It's Dr. Dre. It's Eminem. It's
Eminem. I like Eminem. Not that I know anything about him.
There's like four others I don't care, but it's Dre and Eminem. Come on,
it's gonna be great.
Oh,
but see, I'm excited for the Lord of the Rings trailer. That's what we all have our own things we're excited about, and for the Rams to lose. I'm hoping that happens too.
I didn't realize they were playing. I don't know who the teams in it
Yes.
are. I'm just there for the commercials and the halftime show.
Speaking of football, I'm surprised we don't have a whole bunch of my Manitoba followers heckling on Curtis for his Rough Riders shirt.
Yeah, I have no idea what that
Riders.
is. Is that soccer? You said football?
Football, yeah.
Oh, it's football.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, is it football with a U or actually like football?
No, football.
We're Canadian, not European.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to be respectful. I figured it's a hockey. I thought that's all you guys cared about.
Pretty much. You're not wrong.
I'm not a hockey fan, sadly, but I know it. Everyone says it's really awesome if you go to a game, and I love football and basketball, so that's because I grew up here. It's a desert, so.
This time I did mean to hit that button.
Got it this time.
So it is time for our game show.
Oh my gosh.
Normally our game show revolves around weather trivia.
Okay.
But we know you are a big superhero guy. So today we're doing superhero trivia.
Wow. I'm going to fail. Oh, I hope my cousin isn't watching. He is the biggest comic book nerd. He'll just make fun of me.
So all the questions are multiple choice, I believe. Right, Curtis?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look
We're nice this time.
Yeah.
Am I the only one answering?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I could answer if you want, but I've got the answers here.
No, well, I might need you to.
Curtis, did you want to start us off? Or?
Sure thing. Which superhero said, "Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men"? Was it The Thing, The the Shadow, or the Devastator?
I think it's the Shadow.
You are right.
Oh my gosh. I think I think there was a show on TV called The Shadow. I don't know if that's how I know it or what, but that sounded right.
Question number 2. Oh. Are you going, Curtis, or me?
No, it's fine. You can give her.
Okay. So question number 2 is, what year was the first Iron Man movie released, kicking off the Marvel Cinematic Universe? 2005, 2008, 2010, or 2012?
This sucks. I just read a whole book about Marvel Comics, and it had the movie releases in there too. I think it's 2008. Oh my gosh, let's go.
Look at this.
Man.
Look at this.
That is crazy.
All right, if you get this one wrong, I'm going to be very disappointed. What is the name of Thor's hammer?
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
No.
Mjolnir. There you go.
Yes. Dude, I just bought the 2 sets of the Lego Mjolnir hammer set they have, which is like about this big, and I didn't even know they had it. So
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, it looks freaking awesome. So yeah, I know what that one's called.
What's that, like a $400 set?
No, it's like $99. It's not that
What?
big, but it's it doesn't. It's like, I don't know if it was out already or pre-release, but it like ships in March, so it's not even shipping yet. So
Terry, I know you're watching. Can you please go and order me a Mjolnir?
Mjolnir.
set?
Yep, do it. Do it now.
All right, so question number 4. In The Incredible Hulk, what does Tony tell Thaddeus Ross at the end of the film? That he wants to study the Hulk, that he knows about S.H.I.E.L.D.
They're putting a team together. I'm not even going to make you read them all.
See, I knew this was going to be right up your alley.
Yep.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Okay, how about this one? What's Captain America's shield made out of? Adamantium? Vibranium?
Man, these are just... The first one was pretty hard. The first one was hard.
Well, they were for kids.
The funny thing is, the first one's the one I chose, and Curtis chose the rest of them. So
this is my wife commenting on my YouTube account.
Is Wyatt your kid?
Yeah. Yep. So we're getting 2.
Heck yeah.
Oh, man.
So the Flurkins are a race of extremely dangerous aliens that resembles what?
Come on.
No, we wanted it to be easy.
So I don't look dumb.
Right. So before coming Vision, what was the name of Iron Man's AI butler?
Jarvis.
That one is super easy.
You're not even reading the answers anymore.
No, I'm just waiting for you to tell me what it was.
All right. What is the real name of the Black Panther?
T'Challa. I'm going to reach my perfect Wordle score pretty soon.
What is the alien race Loki sends to invade Earth in the Avengers? The Chitauri.
The Chitauri. The Flurkins.
The Flurkins. How many questions are in here? Oh my goodness.
A lot.
Wow.
Okay, this is the right one. Who is the last holder of the Space Stone before Thanos claims it for his Infinity Gauntlet?
Loki. Good. I figured this would be a trick question or something, but I was like,
there might be it. What fake name does Natasha use when she first meets Tony? Is it Natalie Rushman?
Natalia Romanoff. What? What's her real name? No, that's Natalia.
Real name.
No, Romanoff's her real name. Dang, that was the trick question.
Look at that. He just gets all overinflated and excited, like I got this.
Overconfidence, and that's how you miss like a good target when you're chasing it. Overconfident.
I'm so happy right now.
I'm sad.
What does Thor want another of when he's in the diner? A slice of pie, a pint of beer, a stack of pancakes, or a cup of coffee?
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking this is the end of Avengers, right? Oh my! I'm gonna say pancakes. Oh no! The losing streak begins.
It is a cup of coffee.
It was actually when he was first came down to Earth, and they found him. And they took him back to the diner, and he drank the coffee and smashed the cup on the floor.
Oh my god!
Another.
You know what? That's the Thor 1 and 2 are the kind of the weakest ones, and I haven't seen those as much.
Perfect.
Good job. Good job.
Where does Peggy tell Steve she wants to meet him for a dance before he plunges into the ice? At the Cotton Club, at the Stork Club,
These got real
at
hard,
El
real
Morocco,
fast.
or at the Copacabana?
I think it's. Oh my god, El Morocco.
Oh
my god! I'm done with this. I'm out of here. This sucks.
It's actually the Stork Club.
Dang it! Should have known that. I love that movie. Ugh.
About which city do Hawkeye and Black Widow?
No, yeah, Budapest.
So for anyone listening, the question was about which city do Hawkeye and Black Widow often reminisce?
Just like Budapest. This reminds me of Budapest. You and I remember Budapest very differently.
Yes, you totally got it. Who does the Mad Titan sacrifice to acquire the Soul Stone? Nebula? Ebony
Gamora. So sad.
I'm pretty sure you're not going to get this next one.
Okay, let's go.
What is the name of the little boy Tony befriends while stranded in the Iron Man 3?
Oh my
Harry,
gosh.
Henry, Harley, or Holden?
I think it's. He was also at the end of Endgame, piece of crap. I think it's Harley.
Let's go. Nicely done.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
I'm impressed.
Wow.
All right. So, where do Lady Sif and Volstagg keep the Reality Stone after the Dark Elves try to steal it? On Vormir, in a vault on Asgard, in the Sif's sword, or to the Collector?
The Collector. My gosh, that's some nerdy knowledge right there.
Right?
That's like a post-credit scene, I think.
We're completely exposing you to the 14 people watching.
If people follow me on Twitter, I don't know that I'm your typical storm chaser because I do not chase storms in the off season. I post a lot about TV and superheroes.
Which is why we specialize this or customize the game for you.
What does the Winter Soldier say after Steve recognizes him for the first time? Who the hell is Bucky? Do I know you? He's gone. Or what did you say?
I think it's who the hell is Bucky? Let's go, Winter Soldier, baby.
All right. So, what were the 3 items Rocket claims he needs in order to escape the prison?
Oh,
a security card, a fork, and an ankle monitor, a security band, a battery, and a prosthetic leg, a pair of binoculars, a detonator, and a prosthetic leg, or a knife, cable wires, and Peter's mixtape?
It's one of the middle 2, and I think it's security band, battery, and prosthetic leg.
Because the first 2 he needed, and the third, the prosthetic leg, was just to see if he'd steal it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was so classic. Like, I just wanted to see if you'd steal it.
Yeah, you brought it. Oh my God, you got it.
Those are just the best movies. Just the best.
What word does Tony utter that makes Steve say language, crap, asshole, shit, or idiot?
I think it's shit.
We only got like 6 more. You're almost done, buddy.
Oh, I've only missed 2. I think 3.
I think. Yeah.
What animal does Darren Cross unsuccessfully shrink in the Ant-Man? A mouse, a sheep, a duck, or a hamster?
I think it's a sheep.
I'm gonna totally have to bow to your nerdiness because you are just surmounting anything. I thought I was a fairly large nerd, and you were just crushing my score.
My cousin would be so proud. I'm gonna have to make him watch this.
Who is killed by Loki in the Avengers? Maria Hill, Nick Fury, Agent Coulson, or Dr. Eric Selvig?
Agent Coulson is poor Captain America cards got all bloody.
Who is Black Panther's sister? Shuri, Nakia, Ramonda, or the other one? Okio.
Is someone in the background yelling out the answers? That's probably how I've been winning.
My kid might be upstairs.
I think it's Shuri. I'm pretty sure it's Shuri.
Damn, son.
I'm scared. Shuri should be the next Black Panther. That's what needs to happen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I hope so. I think they're going to do it. They have to.
Oh, that would be amazing.
What landmark does Peter Parker rescue his classmates from in Spider-Man Homecoming?
Washington Monument.
CN Tower. Oh, and this one's for all the two moms that are watching. What song does Baby Groot dance to at the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh,
Cherry
no.
Bomb by the Runaways? Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, or Hooked on a Feeling by Voidoid? Those guys. I don't know how to say that. Voidoid?
Voidoid?
Voidoid.
Those guys.
Oh, see, this is why I listen to soundtracks, because I'm stuck at music. But I love all. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to. I know that he's dancing and it pauses, but
And then he looks at the camera, and it starts back up.
See, the problem is I don't know what Cherry Bomb sounds like, and so I can't even like freaking. I'm gonna say Hooked on a Feeling.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, but it's.
It's actually I Want You Back by the Jackson 5.
Dang it! See, I don't know what that one sounded like either. Oh, I suck.
All right. The last
4 out of
question.
25. Yeah, you're terrible.
What type of doctor is Stephen Strange? A neurosurgeon? A cardiothoracic surgeon?
I'm just going to say neurosurgeon to save you.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Oh, man. Well, you did very well. You got 4 wrong out of 25 questions. I mean,
not bad. And one of them was related to music, which that's tough. That you threw another genre in there on me, so that was great. That was fun. Thanks, man. I feel pretty good.
Appreciate it. So, Mike, where can people find you on social media?
If you know how to spell my last name, Mike Olbinski, there it is. Or I don't know, it's a podcast, so people probably know about Olbinski. If you look up my name, then I'm on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Vimeo and Patreon, and my website is mikeolbinski.com. And I think that's it. Facebook, Michael Olbinski. Yeah. I use my name for everything, which I also think is a great thing for people to do.
That's smart.
But that's
absolutely
it. That's where.
Perfect. And you can follow us on our socials on Twitter at the PDS Podcast. You can follow Jordan at the Manitoba MB Storm Chasers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Jordan Hall.
Right?
Jordan Hall.
I see the abbreviation and I think like SK is Sask, MB is Manitoba. And you can follow me at 706 Photos everywhere.
What does 706 mean? Sorry.
That is literally my street address.
Ah, nice.
I am so creative. It's just mind-blowing. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, and if your podcast player lets you, please leave us a review. That really helps us get found by the search engines.
Awesome.
And make sure you become a supporter on Facebook for the chance to win exclusive merch and prizes. And don't forget to head over to mbstorm.redbubble.com for your Storm Chase apparel needs. And make sure you tune in not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday following for episode 10 with special guest Reed Timmer. Thank you again, Mike, for joining us tonight. And for everybody that's watching live, we hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.